private institutions increasingly are trying to shift the risk from the institution to the individual, and hence coming out of short-term contracts. There are more and more people who move away. There is no longer very few jobs have this concept called permanent jobs now. Most of us are in some sort of contracts, and then with the own account worker kind of arrangements, so you can see that they are trying to push the risk more and more to the individual, but the legislation really needs to catch up. You see, to what extent can we allow them to do this to reduce business costs and make the profit from there, rather than to truly innovate and gain the business cost from higher demand or for better products. So this is the part where legislation and unions and workers really need to talk, and to arrive at the tripartite kind of arrangement, that at some point we need to stop this kind of contractual agreements. And I really do hope that the triple low jobs will decrease in numbers, Desmond. If the unions can do more to look into these issues. The triple low jobs are terrible. It is just that there's just no. If you think about the situation of low wage workers, many of them are in very precarious situations at home, with childcare, with parental care. So the lack of flexibility, the risk involved in not being able to leave work to take care of my own health or my children, really makes it very difficult for them to hang on to a low-wage full-time job. But at the same time, actually our policy is to push them towards these full-time jobs, because that gives them CPF so that they can, aspire towards home ownership. They can build up their retirement savings. So there is some sort of contradiction here in the triple low jobs, and we really need to aggressively address some of these issues. Yeah.
Can I add on a point here? We have been in Grab, we've been digging deeper into really understand the profile of the partners in our platform, right? And it's very interesting, because we all have our own ideas of what the gig economy is, and as you dig deeper into it, you realize that it's actually a very diverse group of people with very different sub-segments, right? There is the segment of guys who work 40 hours a week driving or delivering, and it's their main income. A lot of them a bit older, and don't really have find it's very hard to go back to formal employment. Then you have sort of single parents who treasure the flexibility that they have. They might not work full hours, but it's actually quite critical part of their supplementary income. Then you might have more transient people. They could be a little bit younger, but they don't look into gig economy as sort of something that is going to be there for long term. They do it for a few months and then they move on, right? So one thing I think we need to do is to really, and like what was presented earlier, to really understand the different segments and to recognize that for the different segments, different things are important to them. And as we think about solutions and regulatory, legislation to protect and to support them, I think we need to make sure that we take into this account of this diversity of people who otherwise might not have the opportunity. Because a classic question to me has always been, why don't Grab just hire all these people as your employees? The question, the issue is, a lot of them don't want to be employees because they say, I can't afford to be working 9 to 5. I like the flexibility. I certainly just want to do this for 3 months while I'm studying or what I'm retired. I'm 60. I got I'm still very active. I want to do something, but not so long. So we hear a lot of feedback as well on. And that's what I want, right? We can also sometimes apply solutions from the past to this because the gig economy does open up opportunities for a lot of people that would otherwise not been there, and they would just not have the opportunity. So I think that's actually quite an important thing to think about.
Yeah. Thanks, if I may weigh in just very short. Yeah, I really think that it's very interesting how Grab has become our social insurance. Like for those with reduced income or no income. Yeah, many of them are now with Grab, doing delivery jobs and driving. But the question is, should they be the ones to give the kind of social insurance to the society? What and with that kind of technology, and market power, then all the more, everybody should be very careful, with
Yeah,
uh,
agree.
how and to achieve that kind of balance between
I think,
social responsibility and the individual responsibility. Yeah.
Let's.
can I say one small thing, which is I agree with you. I think there has to be healthy cynicism and caution on tech companies, right? Because they're big and maybe not us, but there's a lot of healthy distrust with tech. On the other hand, I think it's also quite important for companies like us to recognize that we're not just simply a platform. We now have around 8 million people across Southeast Asia who is in one way or another making money off the platform. That's 8 million people, right? And so what we do have significant impact. And I think companies like us, yes, while you guys might say maybe we shouldn't be given this much responsibility, but the fact is we do have this responsibility, and whatever we do, we need to make sure that it's sustainable and it makes sense for our partners. At the same time, we can't also charge too much to our consumers, and we need to survive as a company. So it's not an easy thing for us to do, but we certainly take these responsibilities very seriously, and we shouldn't be alone. But it's something that we lose sleep on and we think about all the time.